Dear student, welcome back again in our today's session. So, as you can see that today I am going to discuss about on the topic advanced statistical techniques in SPSS. In my previous lecture, I have already discussed about the concept of SPSS in detail. And now, in my present lecture, I'm going to discuss about in detail about the advanced statistical techniques in SPSS. So without further ado, let's start our today's topic. So if we talk about the advanced statistical techniques in SPSS, so basically SPSS is a robust tool, very essential tool that not only handles the basic statistical analysis but also support a wide array of advanced statistical techniques. These techniques are particularly valuable in complex social science research where understanding the underlying structure in a data or grouping data into the meaningful categories is essential. And if we talk about the SPSS, so as you can see that the first one is factor analysis. So if we talk about the factor analysis, basically factor analysis is a statistical method generally used to identify underlying relationship between a large number of variables by reducing them into a smaller set of factors. This is a technique is particularly useful when dealing with data and that contain many interrelated variables, allowing the researchers to uncover the latent construct that explain the patterns of correlation within the data. And foster analysis is a commonly used in a field such as a psychology, education, and market research to develop the theories, validate scales, and simplify data. So overall, we can say that about the factor analysis identifying the underlying relationship between the variable, reducing the number of variables by grouping them into a factors. So as you can see that the first one is exploratory factor analysis. Exploratory factor analysis is also known as EFA. Exploratory factor analysis is used when researchers do not have preconceived notions about the underlying structure of the data. The goal of EFA is to explore the data and identify the underlying factors, structures without imposing any prior assumptions. Basically, EFA works by analyzing the correlation among the variables and grouping them into the factors that represent the underlying constructs. Each factor is a linear combination of the original variables and the loading of variables on these factors, indicating the strength of the relationship between each variable and the factors. If we talk about the in SPSS, so basically in SPSS, EFA is conducted using the factor functions where researchers can choose a various extractions method like a principal component analysis and a principal axis factoring and rotation methods to simplify the factors structures and make it more interpretations. The output includes the which is indicate the amount of variance and explain why each factor and factor loading, which shows how strongly each variable is associated with each factor. So generally the researcher use these outputs to determine the number of factors and to retain and to interpret the meaning of each factor. So basically, EFA is a particularly useful and in the early stage of research when the goal is to explore the dimensions underlying a set of variables. For example, so psychologists understand psychological research, EFA might be used to identify the different dimensions of personality traits measured by a questionnaire such as a extrovert and introvert and agreeableness, etc. Now, the next one is confirmatory factor analysis. This is also known as CFA. So basically, CFA is also used when researchers have a specific hypothesis about the structure of data and the relationship between variables. Unlike EFA, which is exploratory, CFA is a hypothesis driven techniques that test whether the data is fit to predefined factor model. In CFA, researchers specify the number of factors and which variables are expected to load on each factors based on theory or previous research. If we talk about the SPSS, so in SPSS, CFA is typically performed using the analysis of movement structures module, which is integrated with SPSS. The researchers specify the models while draw the path and diagrams that represents the relationship between observed variables and latent factors. The output includes the various fit indicates like chi-square, CFY, and so that assess how well the model fits to the data. A good fit indicates that the overall data and the hypothesis factor structure is a consistent with the data. So CFA is often used in the later stage of research to confirm the validity of the measurement model or to test the theoretical models. For example, in educational research, CFA might be used to confirm that a test and a set of test items measure a distinct but related cognitive abilities, such as a verbal reasoning and mathematical reasoning. Now, after discussing about the CFA, now let's discuss about the cluster analysis. We will talk about the cluster analysis. So as you can see that cluster analysis is a statistical technique used to group cases into a cluster based on their similarities across the multiple variables. The goal is to create a cluster that are internally homogeneous. Homogeneous, that means the cases within the same cluster are similar, and the externally heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means the cases where the different clusters are dissimilar. And the cluster analysis is widely used in the market segmentations and the social behavior analysis and the biological classification. So overall, in simple terms, we can say that about the cluster analysis. Cluster analysis groups cases into a cluster based on the similarities often used for the market segmentations or identifying the patterns in a social behavior. Now, if we talk about the first one is hierarchical clustering. Hierarchical clustering builds a tree-like structure of nested clusters where each case starts as its own cluster and the algorithm progressively merges the closest pairs of the clusters until all cases are grouped into a small cluster. So this type of process creates a tree diagram that shows that the arrangement of the clusters and the distances at which clusters are merged. And with the help of SPSS, in SPSS, hierarchical clustering is performed using the hierarchical cluster functions. Researcher can choose a different methods of measuring the similarities between the cases, and this type of output includes a different diagram and different data which help the researchers to decide the optimal number of clusters by examining the where the large jumps in the distance between the merge clusters occur. So hierarchical clustering is a useful when the structure of the data is unknown. And the goal is to explore the possible grouping without specifying the number of clusters in advance. Take the examples. Suppose that in a market research, hierarchical clustering might be used to identify the different segments of the customers based on their purchasing behavior, allow the business to tailor the marketing strategies to the each segment. And now the next one is k-means clustering. If we talk about the k-means clustering, that means partitions data into a specified number of clusters. So in simple terms, we can say that k-means clustering is a partitioning method that divides data into the specified numbers of cluster. It is based on the similarity of cases. Unlike hierarchical clustering, k-means clustering requires the researchers to specify the number of clusters in advance. The algorithm assigns each case of the cluster with the nearest means, then interactively adjust the cluster categories and reassign cases until the cluster membership stabilize. So in SPSS, k-means clustering is conducted using the k-means cluster functions. Researchers specify the number of cluster and select the variable to be used in the clustering process. The output includes the final cluster centers, which represent the average value of the variable for each cluster and the distance of the cases from their cluster centers, which indicates how well each case fits into its assigned cluster. K-means clustering is particularly useful when the researcher has a hypothesis about the number of clusters or when there is a need for a quick and efficient clustering method. It is commonly used in applications such as customer segmentations, where the businesses want to categorize customers into distinct groups based on their purchasing patterns or demographics. So overall, SPSS provides a powerful tool for advanced statistical analysis, including the factor analysis and the cluster analysis. These techniques enable the researchers to uncover the hidden structure in their data, reduce the complexity of variables, and if we talk about the SPSS, so in SPSS, it provides the group cases into a meaningful clusters and providing the deeper insight into a social science phenomena. Whether exploring the underlying construct with factor analysis or identifying the pattern with a cluster analysis. So SPSS offers a flexibility and functionality needed for the sophisticated data analysis. So if we talk about the k-means, overall we can say that k-means clustering, it basically partitions of data into a specified number of clusters. Now, next we are going to discuss about the structural equation modeling. So if we talk about the structural equation modeling, basically structural equation model SEM is an advanced statistical techniques that combines the multiple regression analysis to examine the complex relationship among the variables. Unlike the traditional regression model, SEM allows the researchers to assess the multiple dependent and independent variables, simultaneously making it deal for testing a intricate and theoretical perspectives and the models that involve the direct and indirect effects. SEM is often depicted through the path diagrams, which visually represent the relationship between the observed variables and the latent variables, as well as hypothesis causal pathways among them. In SEM, The relationship between the variables are expressed through a system of equations which are estimated simultaneously. This approach allows for the examination of both measurement model, how well the observed variables measure the latent construct, and the structural model. A structural model that means the relationship among the latent constructs. One of the key strengths of SEM is its ability to incorporate latent variables, which are abstract concepts like intelligence, satisfaction, or attitude, inferred from the multiple observed indicators. So, SPSS offers SEM capabilities through the AMOS. AMOS is a stand for Analysis of Movement Structures module. With the analysis of movement structure, researcher can create a path diagrams that visually represent the hypothesis relationship, making it easier to conceptualize and test complex models. The output from the SEM includes the estimates of the path coefficient, which indicate the strength of the relationship, which assess how well the model fits to the data, and the significance tested, which evaluate the reliability of the estimated relationship. Fits indicates such as the chi-square, root mean square error approximations, and CFI. CFI stand for the comparative fit index, are commonly used to determine the advocacy and of the model. So SEM is widely used in a social science, psychology, and education, and pol science, and other fields where the understanding complex interrelationship among the variables is essential, is crucial. Take examples. Suppose that in psychology, SEM might be used to test a model that examines how self-esteem, social support, and stress contributes to overall well-being, with both direct and indirect effects considered. Now, the next one is graphical representation in SPSS. So, if we talk about the graphical representation in SPSS, basically visualizing data is a fundamental aspect of the data analysis, as it is allowed the researchers to identify patterns, trends, and a relationship that might not be immediately apparent from the raw data alone. SPSS provides a variety of tools for creating an effective visualization, enabling users to represent their data in a clear and insightful manner. The graphical capabilities of SPSS include a wide range of chart, graphs, and plots that are catered to different type of data and research questions. So if we talk about the chart and graph, so as you can see that the first one is bar charts. Bar charts are common graphical tools used to display the categorical data. In a bar chart, each category is represented by the rectangular bar with the length or the height of the bar portions to the value of the frequency of the data category. Bar charts are particularly useful for comparing the frequencies of values across the different categories, making them the ideal for the visualizing data such as the survey responses, demographic breakdowns, or the product sales. In SPSS, bar charts can be easily created using the chart builder functions. So researcher can customize the appearance of the bar chart by selecting a different chart types like a simple, clustered, and the other type of. Choosing the color schemes and adding a labels or the titles to enhance the clarity. Bar charts can be oriented either the horizontally or the vertically. It depending on the nature of the data and the preferences of the researcher. For instance, a vertical bar chart might be used to compare the sales figures of the different products categories over a year, while a horizontal bar chart could be display the frequency of responses to a survey questions. Now, the second one is, as you can see that, the histograms. Histograms are used to display the data, to display the findings and the distributions of a continuous variable by dividing the data into intervals and plotting the frequency of the observation within the each bin. Unlike bar chart, which are used for the categorical data, histograms are ideal for the examining the shape, spread, and the central tendency of the continuous variable. Histograms allow the researchers to identify the key characteristics of the data distributions and such as skewness and the presence of the outliners. So in SPSS, histograms can be created through the graphs menu bar and where users can specify the variables of the interest and adjust the number of bins to control the level of details in the histogram. So the resulting plot provides a visual summary of the data distributions, making it easier to assess whether the data are normally distributed, positively skewed, or negatively skewed. For example, a histogram might be used for the examine the distribution of the test scores in a class, revealing whether the most of the students scored the around the average or if there were a significant variation in the performance. Now, after the histogram, next we are going to discuss about the pie chart. Basically, we talk about the pie chart. So pie charts are circular charts divided into the slices where each slice represents the portion of the particular category in the data set. So pie charts are useful for displaying the relative contribution of the different categories to a whole, making them a popular choice for representing data such as a market share, budget, allocation, or survey results. And if we talk about the pie chart, so in SPSS, pie charts can be generated using the chart builder. Chart builder is a function in a SPSS. We generally use these functions to make a charts, pie charts, and a graph, where users can specify the categorical variables and adjust the size and color of the slices. Pie charts are often used when the focus is comparing the parts of the whole rather than the exact values. For instance, a pie chart might be used to show the percentage of respondents who prefer the different brands of a product, with each slice represent a brand and its shares of the total responses. Now, the next one is scatter plots. If we talk about the scatter plots are a type of a graph used to illustrate the relationship between the two continuous variables. Each point on the scatter plots represents an observation with the position of the point determined by the values of the two variables. Scatter plots are particularly useful for identifying the correlations, trends, and potential outliers in the data. They allow the researchers to visually assess whether there is a linear or non-linear relationship between the variables and whether the relationship is a positive, negative, or non-existent. In SPSS, scatter plots can be used, it can be applied and can be created using the graphs menu where users select the variables to be plotted on the existence or y-axis. The resulting plot display a cloud of the points that represents the data, making it easy to spot the patterns or deviations. Researcher can also add to a trend line to the scatter plot, which provides a visual summary of the overall direction of the relationship. For example, a scatter plot might be used to examine the relationship between the hours of the study and the examination score, revealing whether the study students who study more tend to achieve the higher score. So scatter plots are widely used in a regression analysis where goal is to the model of the relationship between the independent variable and a dependent variable. By visualizing the data in a scatter plot, the researcher can give an insight into the strength and the nature of the relationship, which can inform the choice of a regression model and interpretation of the result. So it is a most important tool and very essential tool. Now, after the scatter plots, now next we are going to the discuss about the box plots. So if we talk about the box plots are the graphical representation that summarize the data set distributions by displaying the medium, quartiles, and potential outliers. The box represents the interquartiles range, which contains the middle 50% of the data with a line inside the indicating the median. The whisker extends to the smallest and the largest values within 1.5 times the IQR, while points outside the range are plotted as outliners. Box are useful for the comparing the distribution across the different group and identify the skewness. So basically, in summary, we can say that SPSS software offers a comprehensive set of tools for creating the various types of visualization, including the bar charts, histograms, pie charts, and scatter plots. These graphical representations plays a very essential role in data analysis by providing a clear and intuitive insight into the data, helping the researchers to communicate their findings effectively. Whether comparing the categorical data that with the bar charts, exploring the distribution with the histogram, assessing the proportion with the pie charts, or examination and examining the relationship with the scatter plots. SPSS enables the users to leverage the power of visualization in their research work. So this is all about the SPSS and the advanced tools of SPSS. Thank you so much.